Hello, welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. Hello there, I'm Director Tom Arnone, and I'm here today to talk something that's very important. We hope we never have to deal with it, but unfortunately it does come, and we've been spared for many different times on our storms the last few years, but we always have to be prepared and informed, and I'm fortunate enough to have our sheriff here, Sheriff Sean Golden, that takes care of and makes sure that the county is very prepared. Welcome, Sheriff.
Pleasure. Great to be with you.
So September's coming, and I know it's always on the back of everybody's mind on are we going to have a mild or a really impacted hurricane season? And so what measures do you take in place to move forward?
So September, as you know, is Preparedness Month, and it's part of a whole series of months that go on where we preach preparedness to our residents. So plan, prepare, stay informed is the motto that we use in the county, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But the theme there this year from the national FEMA is plan our older adults, and so that's really what we're targeting this year, is how we work with our seniors and how we get them to prepare and plan for a natural disaster, and if we call on them to evacuate.
I hear so many seniors say that, like they're at senior events or something like that, and your organization is in there giving them that information. They're so thankful. But obviously, you have to have somebody run the day-to-day operations. And I know we officially appoint them, but obviously we take the recommendation of you.
Sure.
And I know you hired a new and recommended a new OEM director.
Well, the county commissioner is always so supportive of our public safety, and your appointment of Scott Nielsen as our emergency management coordinator comes on the heels of Mike Opagart's retirement. He was one of the best in the state, and I know Scott has already hit the ground running. He's certainly prepared. He has years and years of experience in public safety. He started in 2002 as one of our public safety telecommunicators.
Oh, really?
Worked his way up through the ranks, became a supervisor, and all while doing so, taking courses through FEMA, through other OHS&P, Homeland Security, so that he would be prepared when we called on him to step up as emergency management coordinator. He's doing a tremendous job.
And you know what I like the most about what you've implemented in so many different programs, but to keep it simple. Because people, listen, at the end of the day, if you're in a situation, you don't want complication or it to be complicated. And you created this thing called Know Your Zone there. And can you talk a little bit
Know
about
Your
that?
Zone is modeled after Florida, and who better to model a program to? Certainly they deal with storms. This was when our emergency management team spoke with some folks down in Florida, and they have Know Your Zone. Know Your Zone is where you can put in your address on the website or our mobile application. And that mapping allows you to know exactly down to the address zone A, B, C, or D. And so that allows us to call on zone A for evacuation, zone B for evacuations.
Oh, wow.
So many questions from our residents during Sandy was, am I in the flood zone? Do I have to evacuate? I don't know if my area will flood. We took all that guesswork out of it through county GIS and our sheriff's office GIS. We mapped the whole entire county. With Know Your Zone, you see the signs on different roadways where they're next to the evacuation signs. And you can go on the mobile app or our website and look at zone A, B, C, or D, put in your address. It will tell you what zone you're in. So if we do call upon you to evacuate zone A, everyone is clear on who that is.
And is that comparable to the flood zone map?
So it's not. We use the flood zone, but more so we use storm surge models to make that happen. So it's not, and we put the disclaimer on there. It's not the flood map per se, right? That's a different mapping program, and certainly you can view those. Those are publicly available too on our emergency management website. But this is modeled after surges and predictions on what that would be, and we did a lot of that after Sandy. So it really is a model program, and we're the only one in the state that uses it.
It's incredible, and it's simple. And it gives people the ability to understand it. And the one thing that I personally always wanted to ask you a question on is when you drive down the roads and you see evacuation routes. So is there a certain criteria you guys have on those roads so whether it's manned differently?
Yeah, we have, again, part of Scott's emergency management team and his folks are to map out those evacuation routes. To make sure we can handle traffic, to make sure we can handle some contraflow, on Route 138 and 195. That's contraflow where we use the oncoming lanes, we shut them down and we get more vehicles to evacuate the shore area. So all those are closely looked at with county planning and engineering as well as the state DOT. because we use those roads for evacuation routes. And so they're selectively picked, and that's so we can guide the traffic when it comes down to making that call for evacuation.
So I know there's one that's kind of controversial, and we talk about it often, the one on 66.
Route 66, we're hoping for improvements on Route 66.
And we're working hard.
Certainly a single lane each way, with the development of Asbury Park and Long Branch and everything, that would certainly help us out. And hopefully we can get a contraflow plan after the state does their work on Route 66.
So obviously there's nothing like on-job training. And you and Monmouth County has had the experience between Irene and Sandy. So what have you learned there? What have you planned? What do you know a little different from there then and now?
Sure. Well, it coincides with the theme about having our seniors prepare this year, and so one of the largest challenges for us during Sandy and Irene were the evacuation of our seniors. Do they have a plan, and are they mobile? Are they on oxygen? What doctors do they have? Medications? All of these things that go in with caring for our seniors become a challenge when it comes to emergency management, and particularly when we ask them to evacuate during a potential disaster or storm. And so we came up with a simple acronym, STORM. Seniors taking on readiness measures. We've hit all of the senior communities and a lot of senior centers throughout Monmouth County. Touched over 3,000 seniors.
Wow,
gave
that's
over
amazing.
2,500 kits out to the seniors. They have a little homework, which means it's plan, prepare, stay informed. How are you going to meet those goals, right? And so we have them write down a plan. In other words, who are their emergency contacts? Are they mobile? Do they have a place to stay outside of those zones that we talked about where they can evacuate to? Or do we have to provide some type of transportation and shelter, right? Prepare. Do they have a kit ready? Batteries in case of power outage, some water jugs so they can store some water, a battery or hand crank operated radio so that they can listen to some information. And so they do that homework for us, and in return, when we come back, they keep it, and we hand them a kit that has.
So
all
is
the
that
preparedness in it.
the necessities that you feel they need so they're able to keep that?
Yep. And in there is all the information about who their doctor is, what medications they're on, if they need physical assistance, and all that. So.
And I understand there's something for the seniors to register.
Yep, register ready. And here again, I'm proud to say that Scott and his emergency management team have led the way. We have the most registrations out of any county in the entire state.
That's
and so
impressive.
we've really taken great strides to make sure that those seniors register. Register ready is so that seniors or those with disabilities can go online. They can register their name and their information so that we know if they have to be evacuated or we have to touch them in some way during an emergency, all their information is available to us.
And something else that's very important, obviously, you could only do so much. You only have so much manpower. So it is so nice to be able to, and to your next program that you're implementing, where people are helping people. Residents are helping residents. And I know you created something for seniors to be assisted by maybe neighbors or something like that.
So we, Scott and his team are implementing the CERT program, Citizens Emergency Response Team, and that helps. That's a team of volunteers. It's a 7-week program where they come in, they learn about emergency management. More so, though, they learn how to help us do shelter operations. They learn how to help us do points of distribution, what we call pods. So there's supplies that we're distributing out to those in need if you get hit by a natural disaster.
That's amazing.
A tremendous program, CERT. We have over 40 participants, and they'll be at the ready to volunteer for us and help us during a disaster.
So obviously, the way in today's world, the way to get the message out is through social media. And I have to tell you, yours is amazing, and I don't know who handles it inside your office, if you handle it or you have a staff that handles it.
I have a staff that handles social media.
I will tell you, we are so fortunate here in Monmouth County to be able to get the information from our sheriff's office and our OEM on this very, very important time when your storms, people are wondering what's going on. So how do you work that? How do you get that message out there so frequent? And
well, it's funny, during storms and during a state of emergency, if there's any state of emergency issued by the governor or the county commissioners, we automatically activate like a PIO team, a team that have access to our social media so that they'll take the different aspects or different information and start blasting it out on Instagram and Facebook and websites and our mobile application. So the mobile application's been big. You can download the mobile application from Monmouth County Sheriff's Office.
So I was gonna ask you.
You can go to the Google Store or the Apple Store, download it. It's free, but it has a lot of useful information. It has ready.gov information to make those kits at home. It has a plan information to make those plans and stay informed. It has automatic push notifications out if we do have emergency blasts that we have to give to our residents and emergency information. That's all on the mobile application. So along with our social media, the mobile app and the website, we really are pushing out a lot of information to our residents.
So as everybody knows here, I'm a big cheerleader for Monmouth County, but this department, I can't speak enough for, and I want to thank him. Please thank your staff on behalf of the commissioners, because we so much appreciate what you guys do to keep us safe. I've been there. I've been in their center there when everybody's hands-on and the way they are so professional and so worried about the public.
The Emergency Operations Center is really one of a kind in the state of New Jersey. Scott and his team, and it takes a true team. It's all of the LEPC group, the county administration, all the departments, the health department, as we saw it all come together during the pandemic and COVID-19. You see that Operations Center do its work. And listen, right now, as we're talking, Scott and his team are planning for something in the background. And, we always say, and we got a big motto going into that Operations Center, hope is not a plan. We have a plan to execute in a multitude of disasters, not just during hurricane season.
Well, thank you. And a great segment here, a ton of information, and there's so much more. So people can reach out to your site constantly. But, and I say this over and over, Monmouth County is fortunate because we have a sheriff that is actually from that world. And you know what? People could talk the talk, but this is somebody that actually has walked the walk. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank your staff, and I want to thank the public for listening. And please be safe. This was our segment for Monmouth in Focus. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to use the scholarship for funding for my education and keep going with the education and learning. And I'm so grateful, and I'm happy and excited to keep learning and keep moving on and on this journey of life.
Thank you guys for your support. This has enabled me the success of becoming an executive pastry chef.
Thank you very much for giving students like me an opportunity to progress through my academic careers.
I would like to say thank you to Brookdale Foundation and Ocean First Bank for giving me this opportunity, this chance to focus more on my studies without worrying about any financial liabilities. So thank you very much, and I'm going to continue to do great.
Brookdale Community College will kick off its inaugural season officially fielding varsity teams in Valorant, Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Brookdale is a member institution and will be competing in the NJCAA. You may find further info and all of their offerings on their website. Tryouts will be held in person only at the Esports Arena located on the first floor of the SLC building at the following date and times. Valorant, September 13th at 5 p.m. Rocket League, September 14th at 5 p.m. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, September 15th at 5 p.m. Tryouts will consist of the following: introductions and getting to know one another, breaking off into groups in Discord, guided by in-game rank and desired role, scrimming while our coaches walk around and analyze gameplay. To officially be on the varsity squad, 1, you must attend Brookdale as a full-time student. 2, you must maintain 2.0 GPA. 3, you must be able to attend all practices and official matches.
Over 18,000 students annually, flexible schedules, commitment to student success. Welcome to Brookdale. Convenience of physical campuses throughout Monmouth County. Freehold, Long Branch, Neptune, Lincroft, and Wall. Plus our 7th campus, online.
There are endless possibilities with Brookdale. Open the door to 75 different associate degree programs and university partnerships with Georgian Core, Kane, and Rutgers University. Plus, over 45 other transfer pathways to pursue a bachelor's degree at colleges and universities across the country and even internationally. Enjoy dual admission, guaranteed acceptance, and other benefits exclusively designed for Brookdale graduates. Brookdale offers access, affordability, and community. Start your future today. 732-224-2020. BrookdaleCC.edu.
During the pandemic, my mom would work late, so I would be taking care of my 2 siblings and on top of school. I just didn't really have an outlet because everything was closed or I would have to wear a mask.
I was scared to go out, especially with like germs and everything, like a little sneeze. I was scared if I was to sneeze, I was like, oh God, I might have COVID. It was just very scary.
In the wake of the pandemic, really we were seeing youth struggle with isolation, anxiety, depression. Kids were going weeks at a time without having the opportunity to connect with somebody. So we were hearing from the county and from different schools that we were checking in on that youth were struggling with their social skills. When youth were brought back to school and were then in a room with 20 other, 30 other students, if something were to happen outside of their comfort zone, they didn't have 2 years of skills to respond to that in a positive and healthy way. Really, I think the collaborators on the Positive Youth Development Hub recognized this, and we knew that we needed to do programming that developed those skills.
With human services needs like these, it is important for young people to know that someone is in their corner. Hi, my name is Sue Kiley, and I am one of the Monmouth County Commissioners. As part of Monmouth Acts, the Positive Youth Development Hub has been working to provide resources and support to our young adults and their families. One of those needs was mental health. The organizations of the Positive Youth Development Hub collaborated on SEL programs that could help address the negative mental health effects on our youth during and after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Be kind, I'm not a professional.
SEL programming is social and emotional learning, building healthy relationships, having healthy coping mechanisms as they relate to your interactions with your peers. So we understood the need was to help bolster the social emotional learning development skills for youth in the community. Through the hub meetings, we developed a program where we called out to all of the agencies that we work with as part of the hub. We said, here's our plan. We're gonna go into a school, we're gonna bring them this programming, who wants to participate? Big Brothers Big Sisters was awarded a grant through the American Rescue Plan to help bring these 5 weeks of programming into the school. Big Brothers Big Sisters collaborated with 4 other nonprofits that helped to build this program from the ground up, really. Project Right Now helps students develop self-expression through poetry. We also worked with Lead You, who helped students to recognize and develop healthy coping skills. Kids was also there to help kids focus on mindfulness and meditation. Boys and Girls Club of Monmouth County helped the students build videos together to foster teamwork and interpersonal skills. And of course, there was also Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we led activities that focused from things like Compliment Day to Self-Esteem Jenga to help them just have fun while building positive friendships.
I think a program like this is important because I look at it as one big happy family. Some people don't have the gift that this program gives to us, and I think that it's important for kids to get that experience. It could probably change somebody's life.
It's good to have someone you can count on and talk to you about like things going on in the world or like lighthearted stuff where it doesn't have to be so difficult to like interact. Yeah.
The writing, I really enjoyed the writing.
Yeah, the writing was fun.
We did like poems.
And so I was like, okay, it's my turn.
I enjoy writing a lot.
Yeah, that one was really fun. I liked seeing what you wrote.
At the end of each program week, we were getting great feedback from the students, and there were some students who maybe on the first day thought that they were not going to read spoken word poetry to their peers, but on the last day we were seeing everyone participate. This program taught us that we could unite and really work together to achieve a common goal. Each of our collaborating organizations is still doing great work in the community all throughout the year. Continuous funding is paramount to making sure that we are providing quality programming. Without programs like these, and without positive experiences and interests and hobbies to build on, we do risk youth feeling isolated and alone. I would say that the isolation you're feeling is understandable, but it doesn't have to be fact. That you can reach out to any of these organizations that will help boost your skills as they relate to making friends and not being isolated and dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression.
I think if talking with other people and hanging out with other people, having a sense of community and connection is scary, then this is definitely the program for you. It makes it so much easier to kind of build those skills and get used to those things that are going to translate into other areas of your life too. So the scarier it is, the more you need it.
If you're in need of services, there's really no wrong door when reaching out to Monmouth ACTS. With the Positive Youth Development Hub, with Monmouth ACTS, there's a community of people here who want to see youth achieve great things, and they want to be able to provide whatever families are in need of to help youth on the positive path.
Remember, there is no wrong door to enter Monmouth ACTS. The Positive Youth Development Hub continues to work with youth on social and emotional learning. Monmouth ACTS as a whole continues to grow to meet today's human services needs. To learn more, go to monmouthacts.org or call the number on your screen. We are here and we are ready to help.